We'll gather around, feel the love come down. Blue elephant is strong, together we belong. In every comment bright, you lift me to new heights. Your support.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So first things first, a very, very happy birthday to Pam Clark. I hope that you have a fantabulous day. Now, let's talk about what we're going to do today. So I am using Into Resin's Vase mold. Now, this is an absolutely stunning, stunning mold. It's made with a very, very squishy silicone, so hopefully demolding it won't be too hard. But what I want to do is, as I mix up my resin, and today I'm using Resin's epoxy resin, mixed it up in my dual mixer by Resiners, and I'm just going to add a little bit of clear resin to this mold first. What I want to do is I want to use two different colors, right? I kind of want to go for a Gothic Halloween-y type look, but that can be used not strictly for Halloween, right? So we are going to use Eye Candy's Dark Oob, which is an absolutely it's such a beautiful, deep, dark, rich purple, absolutely gorgeous. And then we're going to use some of Lightwish's dark, I think it's like Starry Night series, if I'm not mistaken, in dark red. I don't think it's called cherry. I think it's dark red. And I'm going to mix that in now. It's kind of got like a black, dark cherry kind of like black cherry kind of look to it with the swirlies and just beautiful. Okay. Absolutely gorgeous. Kind of like it almost reminds you of like an interference powder or an aurora powder, right? Only in liquid form. So it is very transparent, which is what I want because I want to do like I've got this vision in my mind where I want this dark oob in there, right? And that's going to add our super deep, rich, luxurious, just everything color. And then a little bit of the Starry Night series. And I did add a little bit of black pigment dye to it. And that is just to kind of try and darken it up a little bit, because when you see when I lift it up, it is still very, very, very clear. Like in the cup, it looks super dark, but you can see my stick, like it's not dark at all. So I was kind of worried that if I didn't darken it up some more, then maybe it would be too light for what I want. But I just kind of want this really nice transition where I'm hoping that I can maybe get not necessarily clear parts, but parts where you can see just the swirls of the transparentness, right? And that little bit of color, and then that dark oob just coming through, almost like a cloudy, foggy type look. It's what I'm going for. I don't know if it's going to turn out like that or not. Like, I really have no idea at this point. The walls are kind of thin, which is, I'm hoping that will help and work in my favor as far as that goes. Because, you know, the deeper you pour something, especially if it's transparent, you can look super, super dark, right? So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I did add a little bit more clear in there just to kind of help that along some. Now, it could be that the resin that has the mica powder in it just completely sinks to the bottom because it's heavier because of the pigment. I don't know. I don't know. We're gonna see. I'm not even sure, honestly, if I'm going about this the right way. I just know that I have a vision in my head, and I'd really like that to kind of come alive. And honestly, we're just gonna have to wait until demold to find out if that's gonna happen or not. Now, I mixed up, I want to say it was like 10-ish ounces of resin. I don't know how much this mold is going to take. I'm not necessarily like, if it doesn't get completely full, I'm okay with that. And it's not going to, like, I'm not going to have enough to fill it. But I am okay with it because we can add to the bottom and maybe do something a little bit different just to bring a little bit more interest to it. We'll see. I'm just I have a feeling that maybe what I want would be better served in like a flatter mold, maybe not something so deep. I'm not sure. Or potentially something that to get the effects that I'm looking for, maybe I should let the resin thicken up more and sit out so it doesn't blend completely. We're just going to have to wait until demold to find out how exactly this turns out. If I got the results I wanted, if not, then we'll try again at a later date and see if we can figure something else out. But I do think that this color combination is going to be really, really, really pretty. Now, as you can see, I have used up all my resin. I still have quite, maybe about another 2-3 ounces somewhere in there to go, possibly. But we're just going to let this sit, let this do its thing. All right, so this is the next day. Now I mixed up another 4 ounces of resin. And for this, instead of going in with any of the dark oob, because I don't have a whole lot of room left, I am just going to go in with a little bit of the black pigment dye and then some of that Starry Night. We're going to mix that up and then we're going to put that in. And then what I decided to do that maybe could potentially look cool, it just all depends on how it turns out, is I have some super dark deep red like they call them gems. They're just the glass like vase fillers and some black river rock, and I thought that maybe doing a combination since we're going, the dark cherry kind of color from the Starry Night series and then the black and just the dark oob, I thought that these colors would look kind of nice on the bottom just to give it a little added interest. And this way, if the color match isn't 100%, because I did do it in 2 different pours and sometimes getting that to match up is near impossible. This way, it'll be something different so it doesn't necessarily have to match. Does that make sense? So we're doing something completely different, adding the rock in there. It's going to give our vase kind of like a heftier feel too. So it makes it feel, I don't want to say more real, but maybe like more like a higher quality of something other than just resin. Makes sense. Sometimes that weight makes a difference in an item. And I'm just going to I just went in there, a little bit of resin down first, adding my glass gems and my rocks, pouring a little bit more resin, adding some more in, and then just filling it up to the top. And now I'm just going around with my scribe. Went around just the outer edge of that mold just to make sure that there's no bubbles in there. Topped it off, sprayed it with some alcohol just to pop any bubbles. And now for what's left over, these molds I got from a company very graciously sent them to me, and I will have them listed below to try out. They're actually wine bottle toppers, and you get like 4 or 5 different molds in there, and then some of the actual pieces that go into the wine bottle as well. Well, I decided that I want to make for my ceiling fans. I am so short I can't reach the cord to turn them off and on without getting like a chair or a step ladder or something, and I don't want to do that. So I decided that I'm going to make 2 pull chains, one for in the living room and one for my bedroom, and we're going to do the same thing, only we're just going to add the resin that I have mixed. I'm not going to mix up any of the dark oob for this. We're just going to go straight with what we've got mixed up already. Add just a couple of the rocks and gems in there and then top her up and see what happens. Now, will you be able to see them? Will you not? I really don't know, but I thought it would be kind of cool just to kind of check it out, and it's also giving me something that I need as well. Not that my house is actually this color or anything in my house is this color. It's fine. It'll be fine. I'm not stressing about it. All right, so we're going to let these cure up. I've got a little bit of resin left. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get that Let's Resin little baby tiny skull mold, and we'll fill the rest of it up with that and let these guys sit and cure and see what we get. Okay, so quick spray of alcohol. We're done. All right, 24 hours later, everything is nice and beautifully cured. Now it is time to demold and see how these colors turned out. Now, first things first, you can kind of tell with the skull just right now before I even demold that it's going to be on the transparent side. So I'm hoping that I get some transparency in the others, but just looking at it now, first off, this looks super cool. I love how it turned out. I love the just the swirls that you get in that dark kind of cherry looking color. But if you look at how these look right now, they're looking really, really dark. So there's not a lot of see-through as far as right now. Now, what I have noticed is that when I hold it up to the light, I can see through it. So it all depends on how you're looking at it, where you can see clearly the difference between what I've already demolded and the skull. Like you can tell the skull is much lighter, but these are much, much darker. It's due to it being a lot more resin, right? However, like I said, you can see through them. Now, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we'll be able to have that same effect with the vase, but we'll find out. Now, I did get some overpour on there, so I did cut that off real quick because I wasn't trying to slice up my hands. This is a little tricky to demold. You have to roll it all the way down and then pull it out. So demolding it slightly tricky, not too bad. I think it looks super, super pretty. Not necessarily the look that I was going for, right? I didn't really necessarily get the fogginess that I wanted, but you'll see better where when I do the glamour shots that there is, especially up towards the top, there is like the color variation that you can see that turned out pretty cool, where you could see like the dark oob and then you can see that kind of dark cherry color just kind of swirling around in there with it, which does give it like this really pretty look to it when you're looking at it. So where did I get what I was after? No, not necessarily, but I did get a really cool result anyway. So all I'm doing now is cleaning off the sharp edges with my deburring tool, and then we're going to file them down real quick just to make sure it's all nice and smooth and all of the things. Now, the one thing that I did get was a join line where I, did my two separate pours on the vase. It's very thin, but you can kind of see the difference in color. So what I'm going to do is I decided that we're just going to add a few rhinestones just to kind of detract. Like you can see it right there where I'm at. You can see that line. But do you see how you can get the different colors? It almost gives me like a galaxy kind of look, just the swirling of the darkness from that oob and the black, and then the kind of pop of that cherry coming out here and there on it, which I think turned out really cool. Now, I you can't see the stone and the stuff in it at all, except for when you're looking through from the top of the vase down into the bottom, and there's some light. You can kind of see the stones in there because the resin is much thinner on that side. I mean, it's fine. It is what it is. But I'm thinking that maybe to get more of the effect that I'm looking for, first, I think instead of alternating the two like I did, maybe I should have poured one or the other first. So I'm thinking if I would have poured in the transparent color, right? Poured that all the way in and then topped it off with the dark oob, then maybe that would have kind of filtered down into it as it was curing and settling down into the bottom. And maybe I would have gotten that. Also, I think if I would have just let it sit and waited for it to thicken up some, I think that could have potentially helped as well, as far as to like how fast it moved. Or I could have even done some glue and used the glue hack, which could have worked. So what if I put glue in the transparent one, right, to make it thick, granted, we're not trying to get anything to drop, but if I put that in there to make it thick and then maybe poured the dark oob on top and let it fight its way into that thickened resin, that could have potentially worked. I will have to play around with that thought and see how that turns out. But I'm thinking along those lines of pouring in the more transparent color first and then going in with the darker color that I just kind of want to kind of like fog it up a little bit. Not the whole color, but just, do you guys know what I mean? Like I can't, I see it in my head. I can see it. I can see it and I want to recreate it, but I don't know. But let's get back to what I'm doing here. So everything is all cleaned up. Now, instead of adding, at this point, if you were making it for the wine bottles, you would get some E6000 glue or whatever, and you would attach it to the bottom of your ball, right? And then let it sit. Well, for what I want to do, because I want it to be a pull chain, now there's several different ways you can go about doing it. You could screw in an eye hook and attach a jump ring or whatever and put it on like that, right? Well, what I'm going to do is I cut down about the size that I want these to hang. I am going to take some UV resin and I am going to just kind of fill in that little hole, dip my chain in there, and then pull it kind of straight. And as I pull it straight and kind of get it where I want it, I'm going to hit it real quick with my UV flashlight. And then after I'm done, I'm going to go ahead at that point and let it cure for a good 5 minutes. Now, I'm sure there's many, many ways that you can do this. I don't know how well this is going to work. I've not tried it before, but time will tell. My thought process is if I have it in there, as long as the UV resin stays bonded to the epoxy, right? Because hopefully all know that UV resin and epoxy, they don't necessarily like each other. Like it looks like it'll bond, but you can pull it off for a lot of them. So, probably not the best course of action with this. It may be better off, especially with the weight of it. It may be better to do this if you're going to try something like this, maybe getting yourself, like I said, an eye hook and getting a jump ring or something. I'm trying to think how you would connect even this to an eye hook, because it wouldn't connect like a jump ring would. I'm not actually sure, now that I'm thinking about it. I don't necessarily think that this is probably the best route to go. Maybe gluing it down with some like E6000 or something like that, and then doing an epoxy over top of it. If you're going to do epoxy and epoxy, that bond will be much stronger. Anyway, that's a wrap on this one, guys. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I will see you on Thursday in the next one. Love ya. Bye.
Blue elephant is strong. Together we belong. In every comment, right? You lift me to new heights. Your support, it's clear, gives me reason to cheer. Blue elephant crew, this one's up for you. You make dreams come true. With everything you do, each subscriber's heart playing a vital part. Videos we share, showing how much we care. Likes and shares, they grow. You make the channel